Hello. Hey, Facebook. How are you? It is Wednesday. It's Winning Wednesday. Where you at? Come on and join me for another edition of Winning Wednesdays. Hi, Dell. So I will wait a little bit. We've been having a reprieve of our weather. Hey, Brenda. We've been having a reprieve of our weather a little bit here in the DC area. I was talking to somebody yesterday and he said, man, I just can't take it. Somebody invited me to a cookout over the weekend and I just couldn't do it. I said, man, forget that. I ain't sitting outside as hot as it was, and it was pretty hot. But we've gotten 2 days of 70 degrees, so the Lord is smiling on us, and low humidity. That's been really good. So I hope everybody has had a fantabulous day. Hey, darling. Yeah, so got a couple people. I'll give it a minute to see if we get anybody else. But yeah, so I hope everybody's been having a great day. And we got rain today. I don't watch the news very much, didn't listen to the weather to know that it was supposed to rain today. I thought we had a great day and didn't see very many clouds in the sky. But anyway, y'all don't want to hear about the weather. Y'all experienced your own weather. You know that. So I'll go ahead and get started. So I am Veronica Matthews, your Victorious Living Life Coach, and I am here live and in person for another edition of Winning Wednesdays. And Winning Wednesdays is the opportunity to receive some encouragement, motivation, and support around improving your life, around moving from where you are to where you want to be, and it really just creating a life that you love. And so I want to continue where we were with last week, and I talked about sowing and reaping, and talked about sowing and reaping through what you say, so through your speaking. And we covered that since we are God's creatures, hey darling, since we are God's creatures and His created in His image and likeness. Thank you, Miss Brenda, appreciate it. We are the only creatures that are able to speak, and because we speak, then we can not only speak through our prayers in praying to God, but I challenged us to consider what we speak as in regular speech to be a prayer. And so it's all good. And so whatever we speak ends up being part of a prayer because it actually comes to pass in one way or another. It's kind of like if you don't necessarily believe in spiritual laws, but you believe in the law of karma. The law of karma is based on the spiritual law of sowing and reaping. And I said yet last week that we sow and reap through our speaking and through our thinking and through what we do. And when those three things are in alignment, we actually create a life when we're intentional about those three things being in alignment and being positive about what we want to bring about in our lives. Then we are able to actually create and live the life that we love. And so I just wanted to recap that when we speak and we consider it to be a prayer, that, hey Evangelist Tara, hey Julia, that we are speaking a prayer about ourselves, we're speaking well of ourselves, we're speaking well of other people, and we're speaking in faith. And when those three things are working together, it almost pretty much brings out that we're going to be speaking positive. Because if we're speaking positive of ourselves and of the people that we love in our lives, and even of those that we're not very fond of, because we can wish those well that mean us harm. Because the word says that bless those who curse you and pray for those that despitefully use you. And so when we exercise the word in that regard, then we are bringing that upon ourselves. So what we speak out becomes a seed that is planted in God's universe and God and the ground that then produces whatever we say. So we will have what we say if we believe that we believe what we're speaking about. And so likewise, we also sow and reap in our thoughts. And our thoughts are one of those things that is pretty tricky for a lot of people, because when you think about it, if you ever thought about your thoughts, about 95% of what we think is subconscious. That means that it's just rolling on a reel in our mind. And it's like a movie, like sometimes I have the TV on in the background just for noise. That is what our subconscious thoughts are. It's just in the background noise. And oftentimes we're not conscious. We're not checking ourselves in our thoughts. We're not really paying attention to what it is that we're thinking. And you know what? Lo and behold, where you are today is because you thought some things a while back, whether it be yesterday, whether it be last month, whether it be last year. Wherever we are today is what we've thought about in our past. Where we'll be tomorrow in our future is what we're speaking now and what we're thinking now. And so, hey Kurt, hi Norma, hey Evangelist Tara. So what we want to have is alignment. We want to have alignment, a positive, godly alignment of our thoughts and our speech. And so when we, like I said, when we think about it, if we don't think about it, 95% of our thoughts are subconscious. And those subconscious thoughts just kind of run on reel, and 5% of our thoughts are actually our conscious thoughts, what we think intentionally. So if you can imagine 95% of your thoughts are subconscious, that means it's just playing on a reel. When we have the lives that we have today, it's like it's because we've thought things subconsciously and they've actually come to pass. So it's thoughts become things. That's what Mike Dooley has said. It's based on Proverbs 23:7, which says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Right? Thoughts become things. As you think in your heart, you are. And it's all aligned because we oftentimes will speak what we think. So the cart comes before the horse, in that the cart comes with the horse. So the cart is the thought, and then we end up speaking it out of our mouths in some cases. And when that happens, we end up like creating a mess, so we're awesome manifestors. It's just that sometimes we manifest mess. We manifest what we think and what we speak, and oftentimes those things aren't necessarily as positive as they could be. And therefore, we often wonder, man, what happened? How did I get here? I never thought I'd be here. And it's something that we may have said, something that we may have thought. And even if we said those things or thought those things about someone else, they may have come to pass in our lives. And so what I want to encourage us to do is to start getting in alignment with what we think in our heart and what we think in our minds, and particularly our subconscious mind. And you're like, okay, Veronica, so if 95% of what I think is, I don't know what I'm thinking, how am I going to know to change it? And how can I proactively change it? Well, I'm glad you asked. And so, I always got to preempt my questions. So my support for you today with regards to sowing and reaping with our thoughts is, first of all, to create a powerful morning routine. Now, you've heard me say that before. I actually did a whole Winning Wednesday on the morning routine. The morning routine is so powerful because it's how we start our day. And you've heard people say that how you start is how you finish. And I honestly believe that how you start your day has a positive impact on how you continue over the course of the day and how well you handle what happens to you. So again, I've used the example that if you start with a positive day and you fortify your force field with whatever you choose to do, whether it be prayer, meditation, affirmations, positive self-talk in the mirror, Wonder Woman poses, whatever you choose to do. Even reading various things, or maybe listening to podcasts, or having your favorite preacher as you're getting ready in the morning. Whatever it is going to set your day, set your intention for the day, will help your thoughts for the rest of the day. And when something comes and it wants to penetrate your force field, you can better recover from it because you've been on a high of positivity from the very beginning. Now, it's very possible that it might not even penetrate your force field of positivity. And if it does, then again, you're able to recover more quickly. So how you start is how you continue, and it could be how you finish. So that's my first piece of support, is to have a positive morning routine. And secondly, the next piece of support is to observe your thoughts. Now, again, you're probably saying, okay, you already told me that 95% of my thoughts are subconscious. I don't even know I'm thinking it. However, we can be an observer of our thoughts instead of a beer of our thoughts by creating some distance. And I think you've heard me talk about that before. And how you do that is to actually be in the moment. Don't live in yesterday. Don't live in what happened an hour ago. And don't live in what's going to happen tomorrow or an hour from now. Live in the moment. When you live in the moment and things come to your mind, you're much more apt to be able to say, wait a minute, why am I thinking about that? What's going on? And you're able to create some distance in what it is you're thinking. And when you create distance in what it is you're thinking, then you have opportunity, you have space there, then to be able to say, I don't like that thought, poof, be gone. Or I don't like that thought, I'm going to think about this instead. So you have an opportunity to replace a negative thought with a positive thought. When you create that distance and you create that space and you're living in the now instead of living in yesterday and instead of living in tomorrow. Now that takes practice. I'm not going to say that's easy. And if you're one that, because like me, I think a lot. I'm always in my head. I'm thinking about yesterday. I'm thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about right now. I'm thinking about, oh my goodness, nobody's on here. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen, And so, yeah, I understand how challenging that can be. Hey, Vince. And so I understand how challenging that can be. And it takes practice to be in the moment. So like when the thoughts come of, oh my goodness, there's only like -1 person here on the broadcast, and it's a message that is created in cyberspace and it lives there, and whoever chooses to watch it at a later date can, and it can be a blessing to them. And just because it's live doesn't mean I have to have 1 trillion people watching it at this particular time. And so that's creating distance. That's being in the now. And it's also creating distance between my thoughts so that my thoughts don't necessarily manifest into something negative. I can cancel the negative and replace it with the positive. And it's just like with the thoughts. You can do that with your thoughts as well. You can catch a thought You can catch a thought and replace it, just like you can stop yourself mid-sentence if you're saying something that is not going to be in your best interest. If it's going to be something that's going to come back at a later time and you're going to be like, I remember precisely when I thought that, and you didn't do anything to counterbalance it, then it's going to come to pass. And so we can work in tandem to create something different. So we can first start with a positive morning routine, and then we can actually live in the moment and practice mindfulness right here and now, and we can create distance in our thoughts. And the third thing is to exercise gratitude. When you're in a state of gratitude and peace, if you're grateful for what you have in this moment, right here, right now, gratitude is a form of a manifestation of love. And love and fear are polar opposites. So when you are in a state of gratitude, you're in a state of peace, you're in a state of calm, you're in a state of thankfulness for what it is that is going on at this particular time, in this particular moment. And therefore, the thought is positive. And when you're grateful for something, guess what? You open up the door to receive more. And you open up the door for more of what you have, and to replicate itself, to duplicate itself. So you're depositing those seeds of positivity and thankfulness in the ground, into your world, into the atmosphere, and they're going to produce more of the same. So remember that you are where you are now because of something that you thought in the past, and you will be tomorrow where you thought now, or maybe, moments ago, or maybe yesterday, or the day before, or the week before. And so we create our lives by what we think and what we say. So we're sowing and reaping. So whatever we think and speak, we're sowing those seeds, and those seeds will come and they'll produce. So just imagine that that your mind is a garden. What are you planting in your garden? Are you planting collards and kale and healthy stuff, or are you planting weeds? Are you planting positivity and love and gratitude, or are you planting resentment and anger and hurtfulness? Again, thinking positive and speaking positive today of ourselves and of others, and speaking in faith and thinking in faith is what is going to help us to have a positive and and manifest those things that God wants us to have. So the word says that when you ask, and you will receive. When you knock, the door will be opened. When you ask, you receive. And so because of that, we're living in this state of, hey Joe, we're living in this state where we create what we get. So what we have now, we created it with the help of God. So God allowed it. So he has what he wants us to have. He knows what he wants us to have, but he will allow us to have what we want because he allows us free will. And we have the free will to think and do whatever we want. And so I encourage us to have the free will to speak well of ourselves, to think well of ourselves, to speak well of others, to think well of others, and to think and speak in faith. Have a positive morning routine. Have a positive morning routine, and create some distance and live in the now. Create some distance in your thoughts, and then to live in gratitude. So if we're doing these things, hey Jeanette, if we're doing these things, no, wait a minute. Oh, hey, yeah, that was Jeanette. So I'm sorry. So if we're doing these things, then we have the possibility and the probability of creating a life that we love. And so who wants to live in lack? And who wants to live in just a state of nothingness, or just kind of not passionate, not hot, not cold? You know what the word says about anything that's lukewarm? The Lord's going to spit it out. So we don't want to be lukewarm. We want to be passionate. We want to be hot. We want to be manifestors of a positive, loving, and just powerful life, because we have the opportunity to reap what we sow. And when we sow good seeds, we'll reap the fruit of the land. And I want us to be able to do that. So I want you to live a powerful and impactful life. And I want your thoughts and your words and your actions to be in alignment. And hopefully you want that for yourself as well. So, okay, cool. Thank you, Joe. All right. So I'm done. I don't know what time it is. I need to get me a watch. But, so I don't really know what time it is. But I'll wait a couple seconds in case there might be some comments, or there might be some words of encouragement for others, or maybe if you watched last week's broadcast and you were more conscious of what you said and you want to come on and tell us, let me know, because that is wonderful. You're changing your patterns. And even if you make a mistake and say something that you really didn't want to say, you can correct it. You're like, oh, sorry, Lord, I didn't mean to say that. Or, let me take that back. Let me correct it with this. So in the moment, where life is practice. We don't get a user manual when we're born. Our parents don't get a user manual of how to raise us. And we don't get a user manual for life. Life is lived and experience. And when we experience what we like, we create more of that. And sometimes we experience things that we don't like because either we have a lesson to learn, or we need some opportunities to grow. And, God wants to create something in us. And so sometimes things happen, and sometimes we speak and think those things into existence, even though we don't necessarily want to. So this is an opportunity for us to be more conscious, more self-aware, more available to the spiritual laws that already exist, and use them to our advantage, because that's what God wants us to do. Awesome. I appreciate that, Jeanette. All right, so we are coming to a close, and you know how I close Winning Wednesdays. I want to thank you so much, because you could have done anything on a 9:30 on a Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. So I thank you so much for being with me. I thank you for watching this on the replay. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, and you are watching it on the replay, please feel free to leave your comments, and I will engage with you after the fact. But I thank you, I love you, I appreciate you. Know that you are more than a conqueror. Hey, Tanya, I'm almost done. I'm just doing my thank yous and good nights. So know that you are more than a conqueror. Know that you can do all things through Christ. And I want you to have a fantabulous evening. Finish the week strong and powerful in your thoughts and in your speaking well of yourself, speaking well of others, speaking in faith, with your positive morning routine, being in the moment, in the here and now, and not in yesterday and tomorrow, and then exercising gratitude. When you exercise gratitude, it brings more back to you. So practicing all of that in a recap, knowing that you can have a powerful end of the week, and every day can be the weekend. You don't necessarily have to live for the weekend. You can create the weekend and that weekend euphoria feeling every single day of your life. And if you need support with that, just know that I'm available. And I'm going to keep mentioning it all the way up until the conference, but there's a fabulous Embracing You conference, which is intended for entrepreneurial, purpose-driven entrepreneurial women. However, if you are a woman, and you would just want to come out and be amongst others that are positive, impactful, and moving forward, I encourage you to attend the Embracing You conference. And your girl is going to be one of the featured speakers. So I would love to see your face in the place. And you can contact me for information about how to register for the conference. And if you use my code, Veronica19, you'll be able to get 20% off. So this has been an awesome evening. I thank you so much again for watching. I want you to have a great evening. And I will, God willing, see you back here next week, where we will talk about sowing and reaping and what we do. All right? Have a great one. Good night.